This is Liam Neeson. You know me from a bunch of action movies where I shoot people. And I'm really badass. But the best movie I ever did was Love Actually. Thinking about that movie right now is making me weep like a little baby. What also makes me weep is knowing that Mike's Daily Podcast, which is completely independently created and produced, has to fight against podcasts that are more popular, that are produced by big corporations and networks, and some even lifted right off of radio stations. I'm looking square at you, ESPN, and NPR, and other things that have a bunch of letters. Do you know that big-name podcast players like iTunes and Stitcher show only podcasts that pay for advertising, or who have big names on them, from TV and film? Yes, I am such a person. Please do what you can to support those guys that drive carriages around New York with the horses and everything. They treat those horses really well. And support independent podcasters like Mike Matthews. Here's his show now, Mike's Daily Podcast.
This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
God only knows where I'd be without you, Liam Neeson. Episode 822. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, the finale of my Intune interview with the San Francisco band Great Highway. Plus, we hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, the Brewmaster, and Proctor Gamble, that huge company that used to have a satanic logo.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
They want to sell off some of their big brand names. I want to buy a bounty so I can be the clicker picker-upper when I walk my dog, don't you know?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And on the last show, Floyd, the floor man, and John Deere, the engineer, tried to get me to rip off my shirt, but I declined. People that like my bare torso have a taste that's refined. That all got started by the Marvel superhero films having their male stars show off their huge pecs that stand still. And that's about what we're doing here.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Because I'm asking myself, what am I doing here? It's a beautiful day outside here in California, the Bay Area. It's so nice.
Mike's
on a Saturday.
Daily
What am I doing in here?
Podcast.
There's no windows in the last place on earth.
Yeah!
So how did... Oh, wow, there is a window. And it's broken. And I have to pay for that. Damn. That's another one of the big bills I have to pay for. Look, who just walked in. Hi, Mike. It's Benita, the rodeo queen. How y'all doing?
And it's a disgruntled fiddle player, tell you what.
What?
You know what, Mike? I think that you have money to pay for a broken window. Because didn't you get an economic stimulus because of the gas prices dropping?
Yeah, but they're going back up again. So, we had a big economic stimulus, when Bush was president, he tried to get the economy going. And then the gas companies, not by any fault of their own, decided that gas prices needed to go down, so that helped us out. But there's another type of stimulus I found interesting. Look who else just walked in.
Hi, Mike. I make the root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh, boy.
Brewmaster, I can't wait to try your root beer.
Yeah.
We always do this banter back and forth.
It's a back and forth banter. That's why I made back and forth banter root beer.
Oh, wow, that's an interesting looking root beer. It looks good. It's artisanal. You made it, so. I'm drinking it through a straw. Very nice. It's good. It's robust. I like it. Are there coffee grounds in it?
Yeah, sure.
There wouldn't be, avocado peels in there, would there?
Yeah, okay.
Did you take whatever was in my compost bin and just put it in your root beer?
Whatever, hi.
Oh, Brewmaster. He makes me so angry. Oh, thank you. 1950s. studio. You're all dead now, right? No, that's mean. They're probably still alive. Hey! I hope they are. Hey! I found out something interesting. I like the TV show Marin. Why wouldn't I? It's about a guy that does podcasts, and he constantly gets criticized by people. What? You do a podcast? What's that? You don't make any money, do you? Oh, I love it. I'm hooked. It's on Netflix now, and I'm checking him out. Andy Kindler was on. He's one of my favorite comedians. He is so funny. I actually interviewed a guy who worked on a podcast that interviewed Andy Kindler, so I feel like I've interviewed Andy Kindler, but I haven't. How about that Liam Neeson at the beginning of the show? Wasn't that awesome? Yeah. This is a very well-produced podcast, so you should vote for it for the Podcast Awards. That link you can find at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, or just go to Podcast Awards and .com and vote for us for Best Produced category. That'd be very nice of you. Economic stimulus. That's right. We were talking about stimuli.
Mark, don't say that word. That sounds dirty.
Stimuli.
Okay, it's dirty.
Now, why would you say that? Mark, everything's dirty to him since I forced him to go see 50 Shades of Grey. That was the biggest movie of the weekend last weekend, so what'd you think of it, Brewmaster? I mean, Disgruntled Fiddle Player.
What? What? Who are you talking to? We're both standing here.
How about you, Brewmaster?
I saw it, and I was stimulated.
Okay, and how about you, Disgruntled Fiddle Player?
Ditto. And I also say that because I'm a fan of Rush Limbaugh.
Okay, well, you know what? I think what we learned today is that what we did get a different type of stimulus over the years, and nobody realized it. Nobody's pointed it out until this moment, and that is we got space stimulus. That's right. Who broke another window? I didn't know we had another window. Who broke that? Sorry, Mark, that was a Disgruntled Fiddle Player running home real quick, and he needed a quick out, so he went through a window here at the last place on Earth. Why did he have to go home? Because he heard I was going to reenact some of the scenes from 50 Shades of Grey. Oh, okay. I got to go. Bye. How much are blindfolds? Yes, we got a space stimulus because TV manufacturers made flat screens and computer screen manufacturers made flat screens. So now we've got more space. Remember how big those computer monitors and TV tube sets were? Huge. And now you see them on every single street corner. On every street, somebody is putting out there an old big TV set. That means that everyone has a TV set now because you can get them for free. If you didn't have a TV set before, there's one sitting on the street. You can get that. Yeah, it's a really freaking heavy, and it's huge. It'll take up your entire house, but you can watch TV. Isn't that great? Yay. Only if you're watching great TV shows, though, because like I found on Netflix some interesting shows. I don't know if you're a big fan of Anthony Bourdain, the cook. He's actually done an intro to this show. He's an author, chef. You've seen him. He does the show, well, he does No Reservations, which is also the name of his book, but he does a show called Parts Unknown for CNN. And I watched this one. It was interesting because he's so honest. He has such candor. And he talks about how he was in Sicily and he was trying to do a show where he's going out on a boat and there's a cook who supposedly dives and gets his own octopus and cuttlefish. And they go in the water. Anthony Bourdain's got his snorkel on. And he says this on the show. He's like, suddenly I realized that the cook has got this backup guy throwing already dead cuttlefish into the water so that he's already got fish to find for the cameras. So it won't be like he'll go fishing and there's nothing there. And Anthony Bourdain is so upset by this, he like shuts down. He doesn't talk at all. basically you don't see him the rest of this particular scene with this cook, except for later in the evening, where he tells the people watching the show, by this point, I have been sitting at a cafe drinking nonstop. I'm completely drunk. I don't remember any of this scene where I'm talking to the cook in the evening, and he's making and preparing all these fabulous dishes. And he says, I'm completely drunk, because he has realized that his show is a farce. Like, there's people doing fake things, and he because of the producers or whatever, he can't acknowledge that all this fakery is going on. And he's just having a crisis of the soul. And then I watched another episode he did where he's in Quebec. And then you have never seen Anthony Bourdain so happy, because he's hanging out with these cooks in Canada that are so good. And like, they'll go on a little outing, like they're in one of those little shacks on a frozen lake, and they're doing fishing. And he mentions the fact that the producer threw a dead fish already on the line, so when they're pulling up a fish out of that they actually have a fish to show. It's all staged. And Anthony again acknowledges it. And he goes, and the producer put this fake fish there, but then we proceed to go into the shack, and then the two chefs he's hanging out with, they've got this picnic, and they are pulling out all these amazing dishes, French dishes. I don't remember the names of them, but you're looking at it, your mouth is dropping out of your face because you're just, wow, the food. And they're on this picnic and having amazing wine. And then the rest of the show is like that. I highly recommend it. If you don't watch any other Anthony Bourdain show, just look up the Quebec episode of Parts Unknown, and you will be pleased. Because then you also see amazing scenery. And this also made me think, this is what got me thinking about space and about the space stimulus, about flatter TVs, is that there was a time when we began the whole HD thing, that back in 2004, before I got married, a friend of mine got married in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I went to go visit him, go see the wedding, and he goes, hey, I've got this new HD TV. These are brand new. Nobody else has these. I got like one of the first ones, and there's only one channel showing any HD stuff. Do you remember that? Like 10 years ago, there was no HD on TV. But when I watched this screen, my friend's TV, I was enthralled. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is better than any movie screen I've ever seen. The detail is breathtaking. And now, fast forward to now, and you've got Anthony Bourdain totally taking advantage of this on his shows, because they really show you the beauty of Quebec, of Ontario, of Toronto, of all the scenery in Canada is so beautiful. And the food, you get to see every like little nuance of the food they're eating. They go to this restaurant, all they have is maple-themed foods, because of all the maple syrup they make in Canada, and oh, it's like you're there. You're like sitting in this plate of maple everything. So I dreamt that I was stuck in a huge vat of maple syrup.
No, Mike, that actually happened. I was making my maple earth beer, and you got submerged.
But you cleaned me off before I awoke.
Yes, Mike, I did.
Thank you.
Don't mention it.
Yeah. And don't dip me in maple syrup anymore is all I'm asking.
I have more space.
Yes, enjoy your space stimulus. More room to stretch, so that probably means we're a more limber nation.
Oh my gosh!
The bottom of the charts.
All right, we haven't done this in a while. What is the song that's at the very bottom of the charts? Florence and the Machine, What Kind of Man? I didn't even know this song was out. Wow. All right, the video is very 50 Shades of Grey. New Florence and the Machine. Wow, what a surprise. Okay, there we go, the bottom of the charts. And it appears that Proctor Gamble is at the bottom of the charts lately. Why? Well, you know, P&G, Proctor Gamble, they are a major distributor of consumer goods, and their brands are, well, they're some of the most recognized in the world. They've got Bounty, Pampers, Duracell, Gillette, but they have gotten so big that they need to divest some of their diversity to streamline profits, and as such, they're selling some of their brands. This according to PiercePioneer.com. Actually, they're selling at least 100 of their least profitable brands. Their chief executive says, "We get in trouble when we don't start with the consumer, and some of the time we get in trouble because we chase competitors, and some of the time we get in trouble because we chase whatever the latest thing is in the trade or with customers, and we have to stay single-mindedly focused on consumers." He says we have to understand the different consumer needs and wants. We have to nail it with the brand promise. And he says the businesses we're exiting are not bad businesses, most simply do not play to our strengths. Regarding the selected brands, they will discontinue, sell, or consolidate. He says, I hope in July we'll be able to turn all the cards over, or most of the cards over. We have a lot of interest in the assets that we're going to ultimately dispose of, assuming we get the value creation we want. And I'm so glad I don't do a business podcast, because that made no sense to me. But what do you think about all that? Email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. What do you think of Florence and the Machine's new album, and the Space Stimulus, and 50 Shades of Grey, and Proctor Gamble's satanic logo? MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to sponsor the show. MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. And check out the website, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com, with links to where to listen to us on iTunes. You can subscribe to this show there and rate and comment on the show on iTunes. If you do that, more people find out about us. We're also on YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn with the TuneIn app, Stitcher, the Stitcher app, Podomatic, Mixcloud, Spreaker. All those people have apps. And you can tell your friends about the show through Facebook, like the Facebook page that we have. And when I post a new show, share that with your friends, and more people find out about us. It helps us out. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Yelp, and Tumblr. Links to all those at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And the Amazon link, if you need to buy anything on Amazon, go through that first. And that helps us out if you go through MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com first. And you can also find the blog Daily Podcast picture and all my past interviews at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Speaking of interviews,
Into an interview.
I'm talking to Jason Hunter and Sarah Morgan of Great Highway. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I just suddenly decided I'm going to sound like this for the rest of the show. So there we go. You may choose whatever voice you would like to do for the rest of the show, Sarah and Jason. So we're talking on Skype. They are all the way over in Berkeley, which is probably like a 30-minute drive from here. So we're not that far away. Maybe next time we can be in person when we're interviewing. But tell me, what is it like doing what's the San Francisco music scene like, and the music scene here in the Bay Area for you guys? What's it seem like to you?
Well, there are a lot of awesome bands. I mean, if you're here even for a short time playing gigs, it's like, it's really inspiring and overwhelming, like how many hundreds of bands there are that are doing similar stuff and really like kicking ass. And we're actually part of this really awesome group called Balanced Breakfast, which is a fairly new thing. It's a bunch of musicians and members of the music community and industry that get together every week and discuss, you know, the challenges that we're facing as musicians, and like how to do a better job at marketing ourselves. And it's really cool to see that kind of community springing up and everybody kind of joining together to have it be a team effort as opposed to a competition. So we've noticed there's a lot of groups doing awesome things with electronic music, really fusing different styles. And that's exciting to feel like there's a lot to live up to, that, you know, you can't just be good in San Francisco, you have to be great. And so it's really good motivation for us.
So you're like it's like a community, and you're working together, and it's everybody's sort of supporting each other.
Yeah, and definitely I don't think that's always been the case. I mean, I've been in this scene for about 4 or 5 years, and I would say a few years ago it felt more isolating as an individual band. And I think there are a lot of people moving in the scene trying to change that, which is really great.
And how did the name Great Highway come about?
It's pretty simple. We basically named it after there's a road all the way on the west end of San Francisco called Great Highway. It's the last road in the city before the ocean. And, we had a couple other names before Great Highway when we were first starting out. We were trying to come up with something that was short and catchy and also kind of iconic to the city because we really wanted to identify very strongly as a San Francisco-based band. I mean, that was our thing. So, we picked a couple of park names and a couple other landmarks, and nothing really rolled off the tongue as much as Great Highway. Incidentally, that ended up being very briefly the first place that we rehearsed. There was a spot way out on 48th Avenue in Balboa or something. There was a house that we had a temporary bassist who lived there and had a big loft upstairs. And that was the first place when we were just kind of acoustic jamming that we would hang out. So it kind of fit the intention of trying to name it after something that was local and landmarky. A place that if you lived in San Francisco, you would know, Great Highway, that's that road out on the west end of town. But if you didn't live here, it's kind of like an inside joke, I guess.
Right.
What are the other names? I want to know.
Oh, really? There were other names?
Yeah. We were called Edge Hill for a while, which was a park out in West Portal area. And God, at 5 minutes from now, I'll think of 5 other names we had.
But I like Great Highway. There's the windmills. There's the bonfires.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area. It's a really nice part of town.
It's windy.
Yeah, it is windy.
You've got the Cliff House, the zoo, all kinds of stuff over. It's a neat place.
Yep.
All right. Well, what is the appropriate attire to one of your concerts? If I'm going to go dance, should I wear mesh clothing? What should I?
You can wear anything you want.
Preferably no clothing. It's
the more naked, the better, I say, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Because we like to do that thing where we pretend like people are naked in the audience, but if you are naked, it's so much easier for us.
Well, all right. That's good. That's I can choose my birthday suit. It's very
easy.
And, when I think of male, female vocalist, dance bands, I think of, the Human League and the B-52s.
Nice.
And, Information Society, wait, did I say Lady Antebellum? Maybe not them. That's not a dance. You can't really dance to them.
Almost.
Animotion.
Remember Animotion? You are an obsession. You're my obsession.
Yeah.
We should do that one.
Yeah, we cover that. We'll cover any 80s tune.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
For grabs.
I want to know what you're thinking. Yeah? Oh, I can't wait. I want to see a show. So tell me about gigs you got coming up.
So right now, the one gig we have on the calendar is actually out near your way at the Bistro in Hayward. We'll be playing on Friday, April 3rd at, I believe, 9 p.m. So that's actually our first gig with our new DJ, Meredith, so that should be really fun.
I am so there. I am there.
Yeah.
I am there is where I am.
Right.
So there.
I have actually played the Bistro. I've played their open mic.
Oh, that's awesome. We've heard it's fun.
On that old dusty piano they have.
Oh, cool. I want to play that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
we can, but
there's these trombones hanging on the wall and trumpets and things, and it's a neat. I love that place. It's cool. Yay! So April 3rd, 9 p.m. in Hayward. And any other projects? You guys doing anything else?
We're doing this other thing that is very new. We are actually doing a series of YouTube videos where we show off how we can sing harmonies. So we actually have, all 4 of us can sing harmonies. So we have a 4-part harmony right now, 2 guys, 2 girls. So we've been picking really cheesy pop songs that we love and doing 30 seconds of harmony on them. And so we just released us singing the song from the Lego movie, Everything is Awesome. You can see that on our website, and it's really cute. And we're gonna hopefully do a lot of fun, like cheesy songs. Yeah, so we recommend checking that one out.
And what is your website again?
TakeGreatHighway.com.
Take Great Highway?
Uh-huh.
TakeGreatHighway.com, and you can find the YouTube channel through that, and they can buy music on there.
Yeah. You can find our iTunes links and Bandcamp links there as well.
And Facebook.
And Facebook and Twitter and all the good stuff.
Yay! All right, so it's Great Highway, Sarah Morgan and Jason Hunter. Ooh, let's play Moving Target. A lot of interesting changes in the song, music changes. It's very 80s sounding to me. Jason singing on this with Sarah. How did this come about?
This is another one of mine, but this was a pretty cool one because I actually wrote this song 5 years ago, and I tried to play it with other musicians, and it never took off, and I knew it was a winner, and I was sad that I might have to, like, let it die. Until I came to Great Highway and I gave it to Jason, and he turned around a beautiful demo for me, and I was like, that's what it sounded like in my head. And I was really happy, and that's when I knew I was in the right band. And so, yeah, Jason, I guess Jason can talk a little bit about the production. He did a really amazing job. Most of the arrangement on this is from him, and it's why it sounds so cool.
Well, she had a demo of it from her last from an old band, and it was kind of this. I don't remember exactly, but it had this sort of jazzy rock kind of feel to it. It just wasn't as coherent. It sort of sounded like four different people had brought in their own musical influence, and it just sort of clashed together to make a soup. And I just wanted to produce something that was a little cleaner and a little more emphasizing Sarah, because it really had this kind of powerhouse vocal and this really, really catchy melody. So I wanted it to be more, synth instrumentation supporting a really strong vocal, and then put in some cool harmonies underneath it.
Ah, it comes off great. It sounds great. And is Sean McAllister playing guitar on this?
He is, yes.
And that nice crunchy guitar, that's him rocking it.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to see you guys and DJ Meredith all playing together at Hayward's April 3rd Bistro, the Bistro there at 9 p.m. And check them out online, takegreathighway.com. And Sarah and Jason, thanks for being on Mike's Daily Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Moving Target by Great Highway. As we go outside of the last place on earth, we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Thank you again to Great Highway for being on the show.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The picture is a drawing with me and the Brewmaster.
Mark, do we talk about when I slipped you into a bunch of maple syrup in your sleep and almost killed you?
No, Brewmaster, we discussed taxes and procrastinating and how actually me working on this podcast right now is helping me to procrastinate. And I have a little saying on the drawing that is a bit of an ode to Douglas Adams.
Who's he?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
I see Benita and the Disgruntled Fiddle Player are nowhere to be seen.
They went home. They had to get busy.
Right. Next show, it's going to be the return of the much-loved feature called Wow Shuts Wow, where we have some wowing, surprising information, recent news stories that we will bring to you. Plus, we will hear from Madame Rutabaga Valentino and Bison Bentley.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.